Good evening, and welcome to Open House 2020 Virtual Edition. My name is John Bechtold, and I am your student's English or theater teacher, depending on the course that they're taking. And I'm glad to get a chance to introduce myself and the course to you tonight so that you get a window into the work that your student is doing, and we get a chance to build a little bit more of a bridge between one another, especially in this era of remote learning. A few quick things about me. I am a long-standing member of the English department and am also the head of the Performing Arts department, which oversees theater and music and dance at the high school and the middle school both. Specifically, my background is in theater. I am a theater maker and lighting designer. I have particular interest in immersive theater and lighting design, but love covering the full gamut of this very comprehensive art form that is theater. In addition, I am a former English major and have an area where I focus primarily in modern and contemporary poetry as well as drama. So I am so thrilled to be teaching and working with your students this fall across those many forms that are also so dear to me. And one of the things that I think is especially wonderful about the opportunities that we have while we're in this remote learning environment is an opportunity to curate student experiences where they can learn about and meet and discover the many amazing pieces of work that are happening here in 2020 and in recent years in these forms of poetry and theater, so that the work that we're doing is about the contemporary world first and foremost. For all these courses, of course, that's not the only thing we'll be doing. We'll be exploring skills-based stuff, the work of great writers and makers that have led us to the contemporary day. But it is true that I'm putting a big emphasis on people that are living, breathing, and making work across poetry and theatrical forms, especially our poets and writers of color in this time of social unrest where Black Lives Matter and other big, important movements are working to create space and to amplify the voices of creators of color, especially across the art forms that we're looking at. It feels all the more essential that that gets covered in these courses and your students get a lens on the work that's happening right now around the world. So that's a long way of saying that I hope what we get to do this fall feels relevant, and also that the access to those things gets to be curated by the incredible wealth of work that's happening out online, even as we work with one another as well. Knowing that not all students will be doing remote learning or experiencing it the same way, I'm also trying to emphasize a lot of flexibility so that students can go their own way on projects, can find ways together in bigger groups, and that we can fashion for your student a way of gaining the skills and knowledge and understanding that comes from the courses that I'll be teaching with them. So also, I'd love to just say hello on a more personal note. I am here as a teacher at ARHS High School for now 20 years. They have been all really wonderful and extraordinary years, and I'm so happy to say that I feel like I'm part of a very wonderful and exceptional school system. And while I'm sure not every day of school is wonderful for anyone, I do really believe deeply in the work that we get to do in my colleagues and in my students. I am also here because of an Amherst Regional High School student. Back in college, I made a very, very good friend who happened to be from Shutesbury and attended ARHS and kind of guided me towards my application as a just out of college English teacher back in 1999, and I have been here happily ever since. So the circularity of having a student being responsible for the work that I get to do now with students here and today always is a reminder to me of the deep connections and relationships that are built when people get to make and learn together. Tonight, I'm going to go through a few details about the course that your student is taking, including what they're up to, how we're taking on the work, what the resources are, and also ways to communicate and connect with me. I hope you get some information out of this, but I also hope you get a little bit more of a feel for what's going on and would encourage you to reach out to me at any point, if for no other reason than to say hi, but also to make sure that your student feels well supported in these times where, frankly, one of the hardest things as a teacher is to determine how a student is doing in terms of their own support and self-care. So please be in touch, enjoy your evening, and I hope to talk to you soon. So your student is taking Stagecraft, and Stagecraft is a course that is a focus on the materials and equipment and know-how that it takes to stage a play. This might seem like a very tough assignment for a course that has to meet remotely, but the good news is that the fundamental skills in stagecraft are the skills of inventors and makers and engineers and MacGyvers that want to figure out how something works. And those are all things that we can really play with at home, even as we get ready to come back gloriously one day for work on a stage. Specifically, this course is looking at stage design, a little bit of an introduction to stage terminology and work, lighting design and development, and sound design and development. These are things that we can both study kind of in the abstract and look at models of for stage productions. And there are so many wonderful stage productions and online resources that help us gain ground in design and lighting and sound. But there's also the opportunity to take a DIY approach with many of these things. So you might have seen your students in recent weeks combing the home that you live in for flashlights and other lighting equipment to make sense of online sound editors and recording their voices and other effects to make something work towards an end, or even building with Legos or other fundamental building blocks to think about model building and stage environments at a smaller scale. All these things feel like incredible preparatory work and are also, of course, creative and intellectual endeavors that are going to be very useful for any of these students that come back and choose to make theater at the high school or beyond. Thanks.